House Democrats and even some Republicans are hitting a wall in Congress. Amendments that could change bills, protect families, or fix major issues are being blocked left and right. Jim McGovern is calling it what it is, an authoritarian-style chokehold on democracy. Everything is blocked, and the American people are paying the price.
The gentleman wants to talk about the rule, so let's talk about the rule. What is frustrating to me, and I'll tell you, I think many of us, not just Democrats, but a good chunk of Republicans, are at the end of our rope. The Republican leadership, is running this House like an authoritarian dictatorship. It's their way or the highway. There are 6 bills that are allowed to be considered in this rule. 6. Every single one of them is completely closed. What does that mean, right? It means nobody can offer any amendments. Democrats can't offer amendments. Republicans can't offer amendments. They didn't even ask for people to submit amendments, right? And they like to say, oh, nobody offered amendments. Yeah, people did offer amendments. The gentleman talks about the SCORE Act, right? A Republican came to the Rules Committee last night and offered 5 amendments. I think they were reasonable. I think they were reasonable enough to be debated and for us to vote on them. All 5 were blocked. They're blocking members of their own party. That's how they run this place. And, a Democrat came up with an alternative, a good idea. I mean, you may not support it, but people like me thought it was a better way to approach this than what the way the bill is written, and that was blocked too. Everything is blocked. Everything is blocked. I mean, I think they're being blocked because my friends are afraid they might prevail. And by the way, all the players' associations are against the SCORE Act, the way it is currently written. Every single one of them. I mean, this year alone, Republicans have issued 86 closed rules. 86! That puts them on track to obliterate their previous record of the most closed rules in a single Congress. That's 86 times that this chamber was kept from even considering amendments to improve bills. No debate, no votes, nothing. I mean, that's what an authoritarian dictatorship is like. Republicans have blocked nearly 8 out of every 10 amendments submitted to the Rules Committee. And get this, that's 2,700 amendments gone, tossed out by this leadership. They have blocked 60% of bipartisan amendments, most of their own party's amendments, and more than 90% of Democratic amendments. Apparently, the only ideas welcome in this Congress are the ones written by special interests or the ones that Donald Trump personally signs off on. Now, we used to debate in this chamber. We used to vote on amendments on the floor. Members had a voice. Legislation wasn't cooked up in the Speaker's office and rammed through with no chance to fix it. But here we are. Republicans have made fewer amendments in order at this point in the year than any Congress going back a decade. By decimating debate, House Republicans have turned themselves into a rubber stamp for Trump. And they'll fast-track giveaways to the wealthy and the well-connected, but they will block amendments that would protect care for millions or unrig our economy for working people. I mean, the real scandal here is that we can do something to control the rising costs of health care, and we have been begging, by the way, not just Democrats, some Republicans have too, for them to at least just put something on the floor that we can debate and vote on to help alleviate the terrible burden that's about to fall on millions and millions of families in this country. And the answer is we can't do it. They won't do it. They won't do it. You want to debate the rule? This rule is pathetic. Six completely closed rules on 6 completely different bills. Congress is supposed to work for the American people. I think my Republican colleagues have forgotten that. Mr. Speaker, I yield 2.5 minutes.
What we're seeing on the House floor is more than just frustration from Democrats. It's a full-blown warning about how Congress is functioning, or in this case, failing to function. Jim McGovern's eruption isn't just political theater. It's a reflection of a system where amendments, the very tools that allow legislators to improve bills, protect citizens, and hold power accountable, are being systematically blocked. In a healthy legislative process, amendments are debated, scrutinized, and voted on. They are how compromise happens, how bipartisan solutions are forged, and how the voices of constituents get translated into real policy. When you block them, you're not just shutting down opposing opinions, you're shutting down the very mechanism that makes democracy work. McGovern didn't hold back. He laid out the numbers: nearly 2,700 amendments tossed out, 86 closed rules in a single year, and a pattern where even members of the Republican Party are being prevented from proposing ideas. This isn't an abstract statistic. It affects real Americans. Every amendment blocked could have been a measure to lower healthcare costs, protect workers, or ensure fairness in legislation. Every time the floor is closed, the public loses an opportunity to see their concerns represented. McGovern calls it what it is: an authoritarian-style chokehold that prioritizes party control over public good. What's particularly alarming is how this level of control consolidates power around a few leaders and, indirectly, former President Trump's agenda. Bills aren't being debated on their merits. They're being fast-tracked to serve the wealthy, the well-connected, or those special interests that have a direct line to leadership. Meanwhile, amendments that could alleviate everyday struggles for millions, whether it's rising healthcare costs or workplace protections, are dismissed before they even reach a vote. McGovern's point about the history of Congress is also important. There was a time when members of both parties could bring amendments, argue them, and refine legislation. The system was messy, yes, but it worked. It gave members a voice, gave committees room for oversight, and gave Americans transparency. Today, with closed rules dominating the floor, the legislative process has been reduced to a rubber stamp exercise. Congress is supposed to work for the people, but when the only ideas allowed are those approved by a few leaders or special interests, the system starts failing the very citizens it exists to serve. This is a wake-up call for everyone watching. Democracy isn't just about elections. It's about participation, debate, and accountability at every stage of lawmaking. When amendments are blocked, the public loses, lawmakers lose their agency, and the system becomes more about optics than outcomes. McGovern's frustration isn't just a partisan complaint. It's a plea for the floor to be open, for debate to happen, and for Congress to live up to the promise of representation. We all need to pay attention to this because it impacts our lives directly, whether it's healthcare premiums, workplace protections, or broader economic fairness. And as citizens, we can't just watch. Contact your representatives, demand transparency, and insist that legislation be debated openly. Share this video, discuss it with your friends, and hold lawmakers accountable for how they're managing the legislative process. Every amendment blocked isn't just a political maneuver. It's a missed opportunity to make life better for Americans everywhere.